In the latest tense episode of The Young and the Restless, all eyes are on the confrontation between Michael Baldwin and Diane Jenkins Abbott. Hidden truths, dark secrets, and the troubled relationship between the Abbott and Newman families have turned Genoa City into a hotbed of tension. A confrontation that Michael doesn't expect will put him in a difficult position, forcing him to face inevitable questions. Michael and Diane's tense confrontation. Michael Baldwin, one of Genoa City's top lawyers, has never been one to shy away from a challenge at work. However, a meeting with Diane Jenkins Abbott at the bar will put him in a difficult position, forcing him to face her growing suspicions. Diane, with her deep knowledge of the city's connections and intrigues, doesn't pay any attention to Michael's denials. She was not just an ex-wife, but also someone who could read every situation and every move of the people around her. Diane began by questioning Michael about the relationship between Michael and Victor Newman. She wanted to know if Michael had really helped Victor in his fight against Jack Abbott and his company Jabot. This question was like a slap in the face to Michael, making him unable to maintain his usual composure. However, Michael firmly asserted that he was just a person working for a client, and his work was always kept professional. He denied any accusations that he was a provocative person with Victor, something that Diane clearly could not accept. Diane did not stop there. She continued to question Michael, not giving him a chance to back out of this interrogation. Each of Diane's questions was like a knife, cutting deep into Michael's self-esteem. And it was at this point that Michael began to wonder, how did she know these details? He couldn't help but suspect that Diane knew, but her silence only made things more ambiguous than ever. Loyalty and deep secrets. While Michael was trying to protect his reputation, Diane made predictions about what Victor might do. She believed that Victor would not stop, but would continue to use any means to sabotage the relationship between Kyle Abbott and Claire. According to Diane, Victor's goal was to make Kyle suffer. This was a statement that made Michael rethink what he was doing and the relationships he was getting into. Diane not only wanted to know Michael's loyalty, but also wanted to exploit the deep secrets he had kept hidden all these years. Michael, by the nature of his job, could not help but protect what he had built up over the years working for Victor. He explains that his career has been tied to Victor's actions, and he cannot deny that Victor has helped him a lot. Although he does not fully agree with Victor's revenge, Michael asserts that he has always tried to prevent Victor from going too far, and this puts him in a dilemma. Tension reaches a point. The relationship between Abbott and Newman. As the confrontation escalates, Michael begins to feel backed into a corner. He tries to keep quiet, but Diane's pressure becomes too much for him to bear. Finally, Michael shouts that he cannot continue in this position, that he is in a situation that cannot be changed. However, Diane is not so easily convinced. She constantly emphasizes that Michael brought himself into this war, and now he must pay the price for the decisions he has made. Diane, although she does not admit it, clearly has a clear goal in this conversation. She hoped that Michael would eventually come to the right side in the feud between the Abbotts and the Newmans. She believed that someone like Michael, even if he could hide behind the guise of a neutral lawyer, could not continue to be on the side of the bad guys. And in that moment, Diane knew that things would never be the same again. Although Michael has made it clear that he disagrees with Victor's actions, his relationship with Victor remains a complicated one. Michael can't easily give up everything he's built over the years, but can he continue to stand by Victor when things get worse? Can Michael overcome these tensions to remain loyal to the Abbott family, or will he continue to fall into Victor Newman's schemes? Michael and Diane's relationship has never been simple. And what's happening between them is just the beginning of a tumultuous battle in the world of the young and the restless. The biggest question still remains, will Michael side with the Abbott family or continue to serve Victor? The next episodes are sure to keep viewers glued to the screen. In the dramatic developments of The Young and the Restless, the relationship between Michael Baldwin and Diane Jenkins Abbott is becoming increasingly tense. Hidden secrets, suspicions, and constant confrontations create a tidal wave, pushing the characters into difficult situations that no one can predict. A seemingly normal conversation contains many dangers, when Diane constantly questions Michael about his loyalty and the ambiguous relationships he is maintaining. Besides, the problems of the Abbott and Newman families become more complicated as more secrets are revealed. Let's explore the next attractive developments in this movie. Diane and the interrogation of Michael. Diane Jenkins Abbott, a cunning woman who is always ready to take advantage of any situation, once again puts Michael Baldwin in a difficult situation. She discovers Michael at the bar, and does not miss the opportunity to question his relationship with Victor Newman. With all the sharpness of a high society veteran, Diane wants to know if Michael really helped Victor in his fight against Jack Abbott and his Jabot company. This question makes Michael face doubts about his loyalty, not only to the Abbott family but also to what he has done over the years. Although Michael insists that he is just a professional, he is not a bully to Victor, Diane does not easily believe his denials. She keeps things vague, not giving him a chance to explain clearly. Each of Diane's questions is a gentle but probing blow, making Michael feel as if she is trying to dig up secrets that he has kept hidden for so long. She continues to question his loyalty to Victor, which only makes Michael more nervous. He begins to doubt what Diane knows, and her ambiguity makes him unable to help but feel cornered. The truth behind Michael and Victor's relationship. Michael obviously cannot deny that he has worked with Victor for many years, and whether he likes it or not, he owes Victor a part of what helped him build his career. However, their relationship has not always been smooth. Michael may work for Victor, but he also does not agree with many of Victor's actions, especially the revenge plots that Victor is carrying out. The confrontation between Michael and Diane becomes more tense when she makes a prediction that Victor will continue to sabotage Kyle and Claire's relationship. Diane believes that Victor's goal is to make Kyle suffer, and this will not stop until he achieves his goal. Michael, although opposed to Victor's revenge actions, cannot deny that he has entered a war from which he cannot easily retreat. Diane, for all her shrewdness and calculation, knows that one day, Michael will have to side with the Abbotts, or their relationship will no longer exist. She hopes that eventually, Michael will realize who is right in the Abbott-Newman war, and that he will not continue to side with Victor as things get worse. Kyle and the decision to reveal the secret. On the other hand, Kyle Abbott is also facing his own psychological battle. After learning the truth about Victor's spy, Kyle cannot keep it a secret any longer and decides to admit to Jack that he revealed this information to Claire. Initially, Jack seems worried about Kyle revealing this secret, especially knowing that Claire is still struggling to believe the terrible truth about Victor. However, Kyle argues that he must trust Claire with what he knows. For Kyle, keeping this secret is no longer an option, because he believes Claire has a right to know the truth about her family, no matter how painful it is. Jack, who is experienced and knows what is going on in the Abbott-Newman war, will warn Kyle about revealing too much to Claire. Jack believes that if Victor finds out about this information, he will do anything to destroy Claire and Kyle's relationship. But Jack also realizes that keeping these secrets will not help anyone. Claire and Victor's relationship has begun to show signs of cracks, and Jack knows that Victor will never stop trying to influence those around him. Jack will feel that in Victor's eyes, Kyle is a threat that must be eliminated. As the war between the Abbotts and Newmans becomes more complicated, each character in the story faces important decisions. Michael is at a crossroads in his life, unable to continue living in the shadow of Victor's machinations. Diane, with her calculating nature, challenges Michael's loyalties, forcing him to face questions he can't easily answer. Meanwhile, Kyle is trying to protect his relationship with Claire but is drawn into the Newmans' machinations. Everything is moving toward a major confrontation, where loyalties, betrayals, and hidden secrets will determine the fate of these characters. Will Michael side with the Abbotts or continue working for Victor? Can Kyle protect his love for Claire as things fall apart? And can Diane use this tension to make big changes in the war between Abbott and Newman? The answers to these questions will be revealed in the upcoming episodes of The Young and the Restless, as the characters face difficult decisions and relationships are tested to the core. Jack, Diane clash and deep conspiracies on The Young and the Restless. Every conversation and every decision can change the course of Genoa City's most powerful families. One of the latest episodes that brings no small amount of tension is the confrontation between Jack Abbott and Diane Jenkins Abbott, as secrets of loyalty, betrayal, and deep intrigue are increasingly revealed. The appearance of Michael Baldwin also creates a new wave, when he is not only in the middle of the disputes but also caught in the unpredictable plots of Victor Newman. Conversations, innuendos, and risky decisions gradually clarify the relationships between the characters, as everyone is faced with secrets that can collapse everything they have built. Jack catches up with Diane, a tense confrontation. Diane Jenkins Abbott, a cunning and manipulative woman, continues to be the central character in the dramatic situations. After running into Michael Baldwin at the bar, Diane cannot resist asking questions about the relationship between Michael and Victor Newman. However, she does not forget to mention Jack, whom she knows very well and can control if necessary. Once Diane confesses to Jack about her encounter with Michael, she tries to keep things from getting serious. She insists that she will not go into details and hopes that Michael can become an ally in the war between the Abbott and Newman families. However, Jack does not fully trust Diane's words. He scoffs at Michael's insistence that he is acting as a barrier to Victor's actions. This situation shows the increasing tension between the characters. Jack doesn't easily believe Diane's words, and he knows that things can't be as simple as Diane makes them out to be. With his extensive experience in this world of intrigue, Jack is not easily fooled and is constantly suspicious of Diane's motives. Meanwhile, Diane seems to be trying to use Michael's ambiguity to create changes in this war. Michael and the encounter with Victor, secrets revealed when Michael Baldwin meets Victor Newman, their conversation becomes more tense and complicated. Michael starts by mentioning his meeting with Diane, when she asked about his relationship with Victor. Michael is clearly worried when he realizes that Diane may know too much about the intrigue behind the Abbott and Newman families. The conversation between Michael and Victor is more than just a business discussion. In fact, it is a psychological battle, as both understand that every decision can lead to major changes. Michael was concerned that the current situation of the Abbott family was becoming alarming. Everything could be overturned in a minute when secrets were exposed and conspiracies were activated. Michael did not hesitate to suggest to Victor that they should withdraw the spy in the Abbott family. He felt that the situation had become too tense, and if Victor's men continued to stay there, they might encounter unpredictable troubles. However, Victor did not share Michael's opinion. He did not think that the Abbott family could do anything to threaten them. In Victor's eyes, the Abbott family was just people clinging to worthless things, unaware that there were actually people inside watching their every move. Victor, with his confidence and ability to grasp the situation coldly, thought that the Abbott family did not understand the threat they were facing. He always prided himself on being able to control every situation, and in this war, everything had to follow his strategy. Michael, though somewhat worried and apprehensive, also understood that if he wanted to protect his family's safety, he had to continue to stand by Victor's side. Michael and Victor's relationship has not always been simple. Over the years, Michael has worked for Victor and received help from him, but that does not mean he agrees with everything he does. Michael walks a fine line between loyalty and his own values. He knows that Victor's decisions can have serious consequences, and he cannot ignore Victor's schemes. When Michael mentions his meeting with Diane, he is not only worried about what Diane might know, but also whether Victor is aware of the change in the current situation. Michael feels that the Abbotts are showing signs of growing anxiety, and if they do not act now, they may reveal important secrets. However, Victor believes that the Abbotts are only trying to protect something meaningless, unaware that they are facing a much greater danger. This creates a deep conflict between Michael and Victor. Michael, although he understands that he is working for Victor, feels that he cannot continue to support the revengeful actions and strategies that Victor is carrying out. He wants to protect his family and maintain stability in every situation, but Victor's decisions make him feel worried and uneasy. Clash between two powerful families. The war between the Abbott and Newman families is becoming more and more complicated. Each of these two families has their own goals and neither is willing to give in. Jack Abbott, with his intelligence and bravery, is constantly trying to find ways to protect his family from Victor's schemes. However, he also understands that this war is not simply about strength or power, but also about loyalty and betrayal. Diane, with all her cunning, is trying to take advantage of every situation to create change. She is constantly testing Michael and trying to find out what secrets he might be hiding. She knows that if she can get Michael on her side, she will have a huge advantage in this fight. As for Michael, he doesn't want to get caught up in Victor's schemes, but he can't easily give up the job he's been doing for so long. He's torn between his loyalty to his family and what Victor wants. His anxiety is growing as he realizes that he can't control everything, and any wrong decision could lead to unforeseen consequences. The end is near with these tense situations. It's clear that the Young and the Restless is preparing for an inevitable confrontation between the Abbott and Newman families. Each character is facing important decisions, and the secrets that are about to be revealed will make things unpredictable. Will Michael continue to side with Victor, or will he seek to protect the Abbott family from Newman's machinations? Will Diane really be able to use the situation to turn things around for her, or will her calculations backfire? These questions will only be answered in the upcoming episodes of the series, as the battle between loyalty and betrayal gradually enters its decisive phase.